I would like to ask all of you on your broad takeaways on the tax front, what the budget you think has in line with the subject of discussion, what are the hits and what do you think are the misses? Mr. Jain, first with you, please.
I think I should not. There's nothing to say about the hits and misses. It's so clear. What is the hit? Obviously, the 7 lakh rupees tax exemption threshold, that's the biggest hit, I believe. The thumping of tax in the parliament was an indicator. That's the biggest hit which was there on that part, on that issue. And the second part, if I can say on the hits, was that of reducing the surcharge from 37 to 25%. And I was very glad to see the Honorable Finance Minister day before explaining that she had reduced this tax rate from 42.7% to the 39%. And then she said, don't you feel 42.7 looks to be a little too high, and that's why they need to bring it back to 39. But I raised an issue. If it was so high, it was high for the last 4 years. So why it was so high if you consider it was high on that? And if you look at the misses, I will say the one miss in a lighter vein is, in a budget, you expect concession, and the finance minister is obliging you by not putting any additional tax. That's the biggest miss. You don't find any new tax in this budget. That's a miss in the budget. That's a great thing. But looking on the realistic side, I will say India is going to become the global capital of manufacturing. Geopolitical situation permits India, China to shift the base to India. And this is a golden opportunity for India. We introduced in 2019 a corporate rate of 15% for company manufacturing in India after 1st September 2019. And that exemption is going to expire up to 31st March 24. If we are really looking make in India, if we are really wanting that India should be the global manufacturing capital, there is no reason why this should not be extended, should be available. People who want to put a project, maybe 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, if I want to put a project in 2023 and I see the gestation period of 2 years for putting the plant in operation, I can't do it because the exemption will go by 31st March 24. So I think this should have been extended, and this is the biggest miss, which I believe in the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Neeru, your view.
Right. So I think Ved ji has already talked about the personal tax, which we all consider as a hit. On the corporate tax side, I think taking his words, but giving a different point of view, the fact that the tax rates have remained stable for corporates, there is no change in the tax rates, I think that is also a hit, because we keep wondering what's going to happen next, is it going to go up or down, and I think the finance minister gave a very clear message that we want it to be a stable tax regime. So I think that's clearly a hit. Another interesting hit which I read about was around the litigation. One of the biggest pain points of industry is that anything we do in tax, any tax return, we file, it gets audited, there are disagreements with the tax officers, there are disputes, and these tax disputes go on for years altogether. So one very nice move she has announced is that there will be a new post created of a joint commissioner of income tax appeals, and they will take care of a lot of backlog of appeals. So I think that's another hit which we ought to talk about. In terms of the misses, again, manufacturing companies have to start manufacturing by 31st March 24. One of our asks, or rather ask of the industry, was that there's a condition in this to avail the lower tax rate, that you must set up a new legal entity. Now, one of the asks of the industry was, please do away with this condition, because when we want to bring in new investment, we don't necessarily want to spread into so many new entities. Allow us to bring the investment, set up the manufacturing in the existing, which I thought was a valid request, but this is a miss. We didn't hear anything about it. Similarly, there was an ask that extend this lower rate to service industry also. After all, they're adding value to the country as well. Why limit it only to manufacturing? So I think these are some of the misses which could have happened this year.